Hi everyone, welcome to this reading. So I'm going to just dive into this as soon as I can. I do have a couple of announcements. Hi Priestess Tier, you are going to have your next manifestation November video post tomorrow. Okay, and don't forget that if you're a channel member, you have a live with me at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow for the November All Signs. If you're interested in either the High Priestess tier or the general channel memberships, the link for the channel memberships is in the description box. Now, some of you have been asking me a lot of questions about the decks that I use, and I haven't answered anybody. The reason why, and I've said this several times, the reason why is because I can't open up my readings again and open up to the energy to even see what decks people are talking about. So if you've been curious about the decks, now there's a list of all the decks that I use, and you can go through and you can try to like figure out which deck it is. As I add to the rotation, I will add to that list, okay? So here what we have is a card that wasn't lifting off of my desk when I was trying to rearrange everything, so I always take that as how I'm starting the reading. So we're starting here with this Chiron card. Now I'm having a very heavy energy of some very powerful spirits that are kind of trying to tap in for this, which is why I'm a little out of sorts starting this reading. So there's definitely a message that's stepping forward that feels like it's of some urgency for someone. It's almost like, hey, like you're doing the work and you're going in this trajectory, but we need a little bit of a shift in our perspective in order to really identify and isolate things. Because of the power frequency of these particular energies, this is another one of those readings, and I'm going to start off by saying practice discernment with this reading. Not all readings are meant for you, right? Not even all readings that resonate in some ways are really meant for you. So just practice your own personal discernment to see if this is something that is actually pointing you in the right direction, rather than, okay, this is what it said, let me go over here. Do you know what I mean? So with that, let's go ahead and let's begin. We have Chiron. So Chiron is a cosmic enigma. In Greek mythology, he is said to be the rejected son of Saturn who through the pain of abandonment becomes a great teacher and healer. Such is the paradoxical nature of this minor planet. It demonstrates that our pain is a great resource. It will guide us to our deepest purpose if we are able to observe it slowly, gently, and with support. When the Chiron card appears, know that you are being called to deepen the work, to delve into tender parts of yourself that require patience and forgiveness. Victim mentality will get you nowhere. You're past blaming. It's time to let your painful experiences serve as a beacon of light to others. Chiron reminds us of where we've been and where that allows us to go. So there's definitely an abandonment wound that's showing up here. And the message is coming through from this particular group of beings or spirits or spirit guides is it feels a little bit like the message is that we're looking at this life and we're not going to find the answer in this life. Yes, you may be able to trace A, B, C, D as to these are the repetitious themes, but the pattern begins elsewhere. The reason why the pattern beginning elsewhere is important to this life is because it's directly connected in on a soul level to something that we are interacting with. I almost feel like this is really relating back to the last few messages that have happened on this channel. So if those messages have resonated for you, you might find that this one does as well. Again, the previous message is always linked at the end of the current message, so you can go back and watch them that way if you want to work back in the storyline. Now, there's a little bit of this energy here that as this Chiron energy is stepping through, it's almost like somebody is going into like the deep parts of themselves. Remember that the deep parts of yourself are both related to the underworld and they're related to deep space. So it's beyond just this sort of planetary influence that we're experiencing, which many of us have as unconscious faculties until we become conscious of them, right? They're unconscious factors until we become conscious of them. Many people become conscious of them as they do their self-work. But what's happening here that's being pointed to is something that is a connection that is subconscious. It's very subconscious, beneath our consciousness, and it's because it resides within this sort of deep space or deep underworld energy. Whichever one it is, or if it's both for you, is going to depend upon the path that you've picked for yourself or the path that you're currently walking. I almost feel that for some of you, this connection is buried deeply in your past. There's a key here, right? This Chiron symbol is almost looking like a key to me. And this key is has the ability to unlock doors, but it also has the power to lock them. So in the past, there's some sort of door that we've locked, meaning we may have forgotten about it in some way, that may be the door behind which some of the information for how this began, or where it's still connected in, that's what I'm being given, where it's still connected in is coming from. Okay. Oof. Now remember the other day we had that reading. I was talking about the age of Taurus. And this here is like the split between the age of Taurus into the age of Aries. So again, there's something very old that's showing up, and it's been showing up inside the readings, like this very old energy. I know I'm personally experiencing that, so it doesn't really surprise me that it's showing up inside of the readings. It started showing up inside the readings a little bit before I experienced it. So for some of you, you're going to be further along in this storyline than even the reader, which is why I'm not able to give absolutes on anything. It's going to stay rather vague because I'm not even sure exactly what I'm being given, because this material that I've been being given for the last 3 readings, it's not esoteric material. It's not the stuff that you can read in books. It's not the stuff that you know about. It's very esoteric material, meaning it's going to be deeply personal for each person, how this is manifesting. And it's also going to be things that maybe we don't necessarily have knowledge about in a public sense, right? So here with the King of Pentacles, I'm getting a sense of some sort of vow, okay? Because the King of Pentacles, he's very solid. He has solidarity. He's very consistent. There's something that he's responsible for. There's something that you can expect him to show up and do. Now, this directly links to something associated with this Chiron energy of abandonment. This is where we've locked something away. So there's something here where there's a sense of waiting, or a sense of duty, or a sense of responsibility that is wrapped up inside of this abandonment wound for whatever collective this message is speaking to. And this goes back to very, very, very old times. Now with the Emperor, it may be in the service of maybe an emperor or someone seated upon a throne, someone of authority, or it may have been as someone seated on a throne or seated in some position of authority. But this represents a great responsibility. There's a golden pomegranate in the hand of the emperor in the Rider Waite, and there is something about the fruit of immortality is important to this. The idea of immortality is very important to this. He's also holding this Tau Omega. There's other names for this symbol. Everyone says it's an Ankh. It's actually not an Ankh. But this is basically a representation of rulership and dominion. Okay? Everlasting dominion, that my rule has been set up. But it's also speaking of a volatile nature. When we talk about the Emperor, we're talking about the Red King in Alchemy. Those of you who are interested in the deep dive into tarot and into the Major Arcana, especially the Major Arcana series is going on in the channel memberships, and we get into this stuff there. So again, that's in the description box, the link for channel memberships. So with this Emperor energy and this idea of the Red King, there's a little bit of this volatile nature that's coming into this. So either we're butting up against a frequency of a volatile nature that has something to do with immortality or has something to do with dominion, whether this is a representation of ourself or some sort of external force. And there's something here about an abandonment wound being left over from this particular energy. For some of you, this could look like maybe in past lives you were associated with the church and somehow you got abandoned or like left behind. I don't know why this is what's coming through, but particularly, for example, in Saxon raids, right? That's out of nowhere. That's where that came through. And then for others of you, this is cosmic. This is like being marooned as a soul someplace when you were promised something else. So there's a lot of different energies that are kind of connected into this. And here with this pink that's showing up on the Chiron, there's a rift and a sort of, I want to say, I'm going to say this, and I don't mean it literally, though it may resonate for somebody. It's just lack of better words. There's like this damage to the heart space that has occurred because of this. And in the spaces of our heart that are like Swiss cheese, this Chiron energy is infused there, this energy of abandonment. So this may be a repetitious theme of abandonment and betrayal that we are continuously experiencing inside of this life. Now, there's something else that's trying to grow inside this space. And so this is why this like super powerful collective of energies that I'm feeling are kind of giving this message. This is one of the reasons why the image that's being given to me is a key. because it's time for you to open this up now. It's time for you to open those spaces within the heart now. If you remember this storyline, right? And I do feel that this message is coming through for people who remember this storyline of being in service to, or having, you know, whether that was as an authority, as someone that was responsible for many people, or if it was in service to someone of that caliber. There's something here that needs to be questioned. One of those questions that is like echoing inside my skull right now as I'm stepping into this energy is really drowning in the energy is why were you there? Right? Why was that what you chose to do? Why were you there? Was it something that you chose out of obligation? Was it something that you were born into? Was it something that you had no choice about? Was it something that you know, you did because you were desperate? Like, there's all these answers to that question, but it's important to find out the answer for that question, because when you can get clear on this root of that energy, there's something that's going to open up in terms of that energy. And that's where these spaces within the heart that are filled with this Chiron energy can begin to heal. I want to say this too, is that for this collective, whoever this message is for, it's quite possible that we've tried to manifest things like love or abundance, right? Because those are both heart-related energies. It's the giving and receiving of energy chakra. So it may even be about giving and receiving energy with people, but we never seem to be able to manifest the exact thing, or like the thing that is like, yeah, this is fulfilling, this meets it enough, right? It's always like, oh, it's this, and then it's like there's this real dark underbelly to whatever is trying to fill that space. And this is going to be why. So you're being handed this key. It's like, hey, open that door that you completely forgot about, or that you didn't know that was what you were supposed to look behind. There's something going on there. Okay. I'm never hear this, but I'm hearing take a second one. Okay. I don't know why the planet Saturn, I just like got real tuned into like the planet Saturn all of a sudden, and not just very strange, not just Saturn, but Saturn in the Yaldabaoth way, like in the Gnostic sort of way. Saturn as the devil card in the tarot, right? Samael, I'm just Google, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Google. So that's going to be important for someone. And then we have the reddening. Oh, channel members, you guys will recognize this. The white snake has been coming out everywhere for me in the readings. So this is very important. One of the places where the white snake comes out, for example, in the channel membership reading I put out yesterday, was in the lightning. And this is where we often come to a place where we might think that the work is over, but in reality it's just the end of a phase, and then we're about to start in a new phase. Here what we have is the reddening. Let's see. So that may be something that had just happened to somebody. You may have thought that something was over, and then you were like, oh crap, here it is again in a different form. So in the reddening, it indicates a full expression of the work. Everything is alive. The heart pumps, the cells celebrate, and the blood sings its way through the body. What was dormant has been awakened. What was once considered base is now noble. Aches and pains are integrated. Shadows are acknowledged and interwoven. When the reddening card appears, it signifies health, power, and a climaxing of the work, a coalescing of what has been learned. The laboratory is no longer separate from the alchemist or from the work, but the three are now one. What occurs in the body is reflected in the world, and vice versa. Through the process of reddening, we move out of the head and into the physical body. More specifically, we reach the heart. It is there the alchemist finds the sacred ingredients of power and kindness. And so, this is the reason why this message is coming forward. Someone's guides, spirits, angels, allies, ancestors, protectors, whatever you want to call it, yourself, is trying to move from this Chiron energy into this reddening, right? Where we can finally access and reach our heart in the fullest sense. So this is the process that is taking place. This is the direction that you're being told to look, or you are already looking. Or you've had an inclination to look. You're being handed some sort of key here to move you from this energy of being caught inside the loop of Chiron, of abandonment, and I'm very specifically feeling betrayal, right? And this into this sort of reddening energy. I'm curious to see how else the white snake will show up in readings following this. So whoever this message is for, I hope that this resonates with you. If it does, feel free to hit the like button. Feel free to leave a comment. And until next time.